Jarmo Kekäläinen has not made a big move yet. He hasn't needed to. But what about a big-name player that the Sabres play in Madison Square Garden, Artemi Panarin? We'll talk about that as an idea coming up on the Locked On Sabres podcast.
You're Locked On Sabres, your daily podcast on the Buffalo Sabres. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody, and welcome into this Thursday edition of the Locked On Sabres podcast. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you listen to your podcast. We're available on YouTube. You can watch the show there. If you do, hit that like and subscribe button. We would greatly appreciate it. If you want to become a part of our Locked On Sabres Everydayers Club, you could do that too. What do you get from the Everydayers Club? You get an ad-free version of this show. You can listen without the ads, save a little bit of time. You also can be a part of our Locked On Sabres Discord, which is a lot of fun. You can head over there. You get a lot of other perks as well. I mean, if you ever wanted something from our Locked On store, you get discounts there. If you wanted to join up on another show, you get discounts there. You get a lot. LockedOnSabres.supercast.com is the place to sign up for that. Sneaky Joe DiBiase, the Sabres, and the Rangers Thursday night at Madison Square Garden. We will talk about the matchup in a little bit. Colten Ellis starting in this game is big news. He has not played in over a month for the Buffalo Sabres, and we knew that he was going to play at some point. I was wondering if this would be the game, and sure enough, here it is. Sabres and Rangers. It'll be Jonathan Quick against Colten Ellis. Igor Shesterkin injured. There are other injuries for the Rangers. We'll talk all about the game coming up in a little bit. There's other stuff to get to here on today's show, Sneaky Joe DiBiase, in terms of trading. And there have been, some wondering, I think, lately from fans and maybe media alike of what is Jarmo Kekäläinen going to do to put his stamp on this organization. So we'll get right into it today on, I think, a big trade idea that I think there is some merit to. There's a little bit of noise about, and it's just a really fun idea to think about, because who doesn't love thinking about trades that involve the Buffalo Sabres and some of the best players in the NHL, right? Like, we had a lot of fun talking to Elias Pettersson last year, and, when Trevor Zegras was on the market a few times, not that he's an elite player. Oh, he's been pretty good this year. Talked about him, and that was fun. Well, you always get those trades to happen, but, once in a while, maybe you do. And now the Sabres have a general manager who has a history of pulling trades off like this. So today, let's talk about Artemi Panarin. Artemi Panarin, who is on the Rangers. Tonight's opponent, we'll see him up close and personal. Artemi Panarin. Why are we talking about Artemi Panarin? Well, there are a bunch of reasons. He has been the subject of some trade rumors in New York, and a big reason for that is the Rangers are kind of in flux right now. They are having a pretty poor season. Now, they do have only 2 fewer points than the Buffalo Sabres do. However, they've played 3 more games. So by points percentage, they are second last in the NHL, or in the Eastern Conference. No doubt about it. They're not happy. And Chris Drury was a little bit on the hot seat coming into the year as their general manager. I can't imagine that he's in great shape right now, great standing in that organization. Maybe he would stick around for another offseason and another year, but it's not going well for him. And that team has been aging out the last couple of years. They already dumped off Chris Kreider after it was pretty evident that he's not the same player that he once was. They did actually acquire some age, though, at the same time, right? They get JT Miller in from the Vancouver Canucks. They try that on. They signed Vladislav Gavrikov in the offseason. He's a 30-year-old defenseman. He's very good, but you look up and down their lineup, and their most important players are past their prime, or maybe at the end of it. Panarin, 34. Zibanejad, 32. Trocheck, 32. JT Miller, 32. Gavrikov, 30. You go to even the goaltending. Shesterkin is now 30. Goalies are usually fine, so he should be okay. Quick now starting is 40. They have a couple of a little bit younger guys, right? Like Lafreniere, and, there's really not much after that. And part of the problem is that those guys, like Lafreniere and all these elite prospects that the Rangers never wanted to trade for Jack Eichel. All their fans are like, "Oh, this guy's untouchable. This guy's untouchable." All those guys they didn't want to trade for Jack Eichel have not developed at all. And it's a big reason why they've started to fall. So now you turn your attention to Panarin, who's their best player, but he's 34 and he's in the final year of a contract. And if they don't want to sign him at age 35 to a long-term extension, which I think is probably likely, and they're not that competitive this season, then trade makes sense. That's why he's the subject of rumors. Now, why does it factor in the Buffalo Sabres? Well, a couple of reasons. Yesterday, Nick Kyprios from Sportsnet said that Jarmo Kekäläinen has been aggressive in the trade market as a buyer. That is the stance he is taking. He's being aggressive, and it's as a buyer. Okay. Jeremy White, my co-host on WGR this morning, if you listen to the end of our show during Extendo Sports, our very last segment, his secret Sabre source returned after a long time away, and he said Panarin, could be Panarin. Keep an eye on Artemi Panarin. So there's a little something. And Panarin, of course, has a history with Jarmo Kekäläinen. Jarmo acquired him in Columbus when he was the general manager. Maybe the biggest trade he made while he was the GM of the Blue Jackets. And it was one of his first big trades. Put his stamp on the team, go out, get Panarin. At that time, a little different, right? Like, he's a lot younger. I mean, he acquires Panarin when he's 26 years old. Remember, he had entered late in the league, so it was only his third season. And to that point, Panarin had been very good in Chicago, but not as good as he got after. In Chicago, 30 goals, 31 goals, 77 points, 74 points. Like, still an amazing player, but just below a point-a-game player. Every season since, he's been above a point-a-game player. I mean, he had 120 points for the Rangers a couple of years ago, and his numbers did go up a little bit in Columbus in the couple of years that he was there, and helped propel the Blue Jackets to another level where they made the playoffs in both seasons that he was there in Columbus. They won a round in one of them. So that went well. I mean, they didn't sign him long-term, and that was the risk. And Jarmo probably knew that when he acquired him, but I think he said it to us, that he feels that all of that was worth it. They went for it. They went for the cup, and he was a big part of it. In this circumstance, you have a GM that has loved this player in the past enough to acquire him without long-term protection. He did it. And you're now in a similar position where this Sabres team that's been performing well, you might think is ready for the next level, that next piece of buy-in to go make the playoffs and maybe win a round, maybe, just establish something. You might not keep them, and might even be putting it lightly. What are the chances that Artemi Panarin, who again will be a free agent at the end of the year, is going to want to sign up to come to the Buffalo Sabres on an extension? He very clearly wanted to go to a bigger market after he became a free agent in Columbus. He picked New York City. So I'm not sure he'd want to stay here long-term unless the Sabres were willing to really overpay him, which maybe you could even defend with the cap going up. Maybe that is a conversation to be had. But the Panarin idea is largely a rental idea. That doesn't scare me off personally. I still like it. I think he's such a good player. He is 46 points in 43 games this season. A lot of good even strength numbers over the years. Power play has dipped a little bit. He was a very good power play player a couple of years ago. I mean, 23-24 in New York. I mean, he had 120 points, so he was really doing it all. But 11 goals and 33 assists on the man advantage. So I think better on the even strength play, but he's a very good power play player historically. So I think he does a lot for you. He would immediately become your best offensive player. He could fit in with Thompson on the wing and create almost like a super line up top, like a real dominant number one line. Again, power play, you would hope that he could help at least, if not fix. And you could really propel yourself to break the drought and do something in the postseason. I think that's on the table if you trade for Artemi Panarin. I don't think any of that is worthless if he walks out the door in 6 months' time. So there's all that. But what do you pay for 6 months of Artemi Panarin? Or really, I don't know, I'm taking you to July, for 3 or 4 months of Artemi Panarin. Well, couple of ideas. Because one of the factors that makes this trade very difficult is his salary. He makes over $11 million per year. And how would the Buffalo Sabres fit that in to their cap? Because while they have not been a cap team in recent years, at this moment in time, their current cap space, according to Puckpedia, is $2.7 million. So they would need to create, if the Rangers weren't going to retain salary, maybe that's the simplest solution, because real teams do retain salary. The Sabres typically have not. The Rangers, you might think that they would retain salary for Panarin, and they'd say, yeah, we'll keep 3 of it. We'll keep 4 of it. And you got to find your $8 million in space. Well, one thing that I'll throw out there right away, like how could the Sabres create some space to make a big trade like this? They have not utilized long-term injured reserve. To my eyes, what they currently have on their books are no players on long-term injured reserve. What you have are Justin Danforth, Yuri Kulik, Connor Timmins, all currently on IR. I mean, Alex Lyon and Michael Kesselring are too, but you're expecting them back soon. Timmins has a broken leg. He's out for a long time. Kulik has blood clots. We have no idea when he's going to come back. And Danforth, I mean, did you forget he was even on the team? I mean, he opened the season and big injury, and he hasn't been seen since. Between those 3 guys, between Danforth, who's at $1.8 million of salary, Kulik, who's at about $900,000, and then Timmins, who's at $2.2 million, you're talking about nearly $5 million right there that you could hide on long-term injured reserve. Now I still only need a couple million more, and that's manageable. I tell the Rangers, if they want, picks and prospects, they want Consta Helenius and a first-round pick, I'm going to give you Jack Quinn too, because Jack Quinn, he might have some value to you. He's on pace for 44 points. Right now, he's 24 years old, and he makes $3.3 million, and that's what I need to shed off my salary to make this work. So, Rangers, I don't even know if you want him, but you might place some value on him, but you're going to take Jack Quinn in this deal also. Maybe the idea is something involving Alex Tuch. The reporting has been that the Rangers might be one of the teams that are interested in Alex Tuch, not just for this year, but to sign. So, why not get ahead of it? You might not want to sign Panarin. We're not going to sign either one of them. If that was the case, I still kind of think they might sign Tuch. But if the Sabres decided we don't think we're going to sign either one, which one would we rather have for the rest of the season? Panarin, Tuch. You choose Panarin, I think, for sure. Even though Tuch has his value in the penalty kill and other areas, Panarin is a better hockey player. He's simply put, he's a better hockey player. I don't think anybody would dispute that. So, what about Tuch for Panarin? You want to do that? That's $4.75 million out the door from Alex Tuch, and then Rangers can sign him to a long-term deal. That's an idea. I think there are ways to manage this trade. It's definitely a hard trade to make. There also is the possibility, because, listen, Jarmo might be here and he might have a relationship with this player, and I might hope that that can help the relationship to get him to come here. However, what if he just has zero interest in coming to the Buffalo Sabres? Like, I don't want to come. I think right now maybe that is less the case than what it's been with some of these other players in the past. Because if I'm Panarin, it's only a couple of months in Buffalo. It's not like I'm living there for 8 years if he doesn't have any interest in that. And what would I be thinking about? Like, okay, can I go to a team that has a better chance to win? And we'll see where the Sabres and Rangers might sit going forward. I mean, after tonight, they could be tied in the standings, but I think the Sabres are a better team, and I think there's a very good chance that they will pull away from the Rangers in the next little bit. And if that happens, you show Panarin, like, well, you're going to hit the open market. So in the meantime, what do you want to do? You want to sit at the bottom of the standings with the Rangers, or do you want to go to the playoffs if the Sabres are looking like they could be a playoff team? So that's a sales pitch too, but you might have to show over the next little bit that they're on track to make the playoffs, to make a pitch like that work. In terms of trade protection for Panarin's contract, he does have a full no movement clause, so he would have to sign off on anything. So again, you would need to make that pitch, and Jarmo would be the guy. Jarmo would be the guy to do it. So interesting idea. It sounds like it is something that might be on the table right now for real. Doesn't mean they'll do it because there are a lot of moving pieces that they'll have to make work to make a trade like that happen. But I just like being able to entertain an idea like that. If Kevin Adams was the Sabres general manager, wouldn't be thinking about it for a second. Like, just wouldn't believe that they would ever actually pull it off. Jarmo, we'll see. I think there's a shot that he's done stuff like this before, that it might be hard, but that's the job. Find a way to do it if you think it's really going to help your team. And I'm wondering if they might actually go for it. He plays left wing, by the way. So, I mean, you can move him all around the lineup, but love the player. And we'll watch him tonight. See, how valuable he still is to that Rangers team. When we come back, more on the matchup against New York, including some notes on the Sabres. Colten Ellis. That when we come back on Locked On Sabres. Today's episode of the Locked On Sabres podcast is presented by Rocket Money. So, Rocket Money, let's be real. Managing your finances can be really overwhelming, between subscriptions that you forgot about, bills that keep going up, trying to figure out where all your money actually goes each month. It's easy to feel like you're losing control. And who has time to track every transaction or hunt down hidden fees? That's where Rocket Money comes in, the personal finance app that helps you take control. It finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending. It'll help lower your bills so that you can start growing your savings. It tracks all your subscriptions. Again, you can cancel it right in the app, just a few taps, very easy. No more hunting down customer service numbers. Nobody wants to do that. The automatic transaction categorization is a game changer. Finally see exactly where all your money's going each month. You could set budgets, goals, personalize insights, receive real-time alerts for large transactions, upcoming bills, and low balances. Consolidates your checking, savings, loans, and investments into a single dashboard so you get a clear view of your entire financial picture. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/locked-on. That's rocketmoney.com/locked-on. rocketmoney.com/locked-on. Sneaky Joe DiBiase back here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. As always, thanks for listening here as the Sabres are about to take on the New York Rangers and Artemi Panarin. The Sabres will be on the road for this game. They will be home for the next 5. So they get to play at a famous building that you would think would have some sort of home ice advantage. That has not been the case this season because, amazingly, the Rangers have the second worst record in the NHL this year at home. They are amazing on the road, or they have good results on the road at least. 15-8-2 on the road. If I told you at the beginning of the year that a team is going to be 15-8-2 at the midpoint of the season on the road, you'd probably think that's a really, really good hockey team. 5-10-4 at home. Unbelievably terrible. They have been so bad. I don't know what explains that, but they have not been giving their fans much to cheer about when they have been at Madison Square Garden this season. It's been a tough year for the Rangers following what was a tough year last year. And as we mentioned in the last segment, I think age is really starting to play into that. Also, for tonight's game, they're missing 2 of their best players, and I think easily their most important player, their goaltender. Igor Shesterkin, injured. He will not play. He was actually injured a couple of nights ago against the Utah Mammoth. Our old buddy JJ Peterka, who had went to the net, stopped in the crease, kind of pushed Shesterkin back a little bit, and he awkwardly fell on his own leg. He's out with a lower body injury for the time being, and that could be a long-term injury. So no Shesterkin, and he's unbelievable. The Sabres have actually gotten him a couple times, but you still would rather not have him. Jonathan Quick will start between the pipes. And Quick is a guy that I've never loved. He had the 2 amazing playoff runs. He's kind of the Eli Manning of the NHL to me. Like, he's going to go down as a Hall of Famer. He won multiple Stanley Cups, and he got hot. He was so good on those 2 runs. But on the overall, he's not actually a Hall of Fame level goaltender, even in his prime. But he did it in the playoffs, and that's what, people are going to count most. What is he now, though? He's 40. He's starting tonight. Last year wasn't very good for him. This year's been pretty good. He's not been in many games. He's only started 10 games so far this year, and he hasn't gotten many decisions. He only won 3 of the 10. But a .919 save percentage, some pretty solid numbers in terms of goals saved above expected. Quick's been solid. What has he done as of late? Not so good. 3 goals allowed against Utah, and that was not in a full game. He played for about 45 minutes in that game. 3 goals allowed on 17 shots. The game prior, he allowed 5 in against the Capitals on 26 shots. So his last 2 starts have not necessarily gone well. And my question about Quick would be not can he keep playing at the level he's been playing at? It's can he do it playing twice as much at this age with Shesterkin potentially out? I'm not so confident in that. So I think it's good news that you're not playing him. Adam Fox also not playing in this game with injury. We'll see how long he's out as well. He's been dealing with some injuries. He also had a little bit of a down year last year. So, there's a couching, I guess, for Fox. Like, is he still the Norris Trophy level defenseman he was in his second season? I'm not sure, but he is still almost a point a game player this year. He plays big minutes. He didn't make Team USA. Again, that could have been injury related, but won't play in this game. Another big missing piece for the Rangers in this one. So when you look at their lineup, who should you really be afraid of? Panarin, right? Zibanejad still a little bit, but not much else. I don't think Vincent Trocheck is a very good player anymore, and it's amazing to me that he made Team USA. Alexis Lafreniere has not turned into a player at all that I'm afraid of. And on the blue line, I liked Gavrikov. I wanted the Sabres to sign him in the offseason, but to me, their blue line is kind of thin. I don't think it's a very good hockey team, the Rangers. And in terms of where they rank in some categories on the season, their expected goals for percentage is 18th on the year. The Sabres, it's 9th. Some of their shot total numbers, their Corsi for percentage, they're 19th. They're a below average team in pretty much every category. And at the same time, you look up and you look at some of their special team stats. We know the Sabres, right, are dealing with a real problem right now on the power play. The Rangers have a better power play, 12th in the NHL on the man advantage. When it comes to their penalty kill, they are 15th. So a little bit middle of the pack in special teams, below average in pretty much every other category. And again, all those numbers at home are worse than they are on the road, and it's a really tough thing to explain. So when it boils down to it, I think it's a winnable game. I think the Sabres are the better team. This is not, to me, a team as bad as what the Sabres saw in Vancouver the other night or what they saw in St. Louis a couple of games ago. I think this team is probably better than them, but I wouldn't say by much. So I like the Sabres' chances in this game a lot. And that is with Colten Ellis between the pipes. Some numbers on Ellis when we come back here on Locked On Sabres. Sneaky Joe DiBiase here on the game day, Locked On Sabres and Rangers. Colten Ellis is getting his first start in over a month for the Buffalo Sabres. Ellis has started 8 games this year. That was actually more than I had remembered. 8 games. They were all kind of packed together within a couple of weeks of each other, like mid-November, early November into the first week or so of December. He didn't really play much at the start, and then he hasn't obviously played in over a month. He had that concussion that he sustained against the Edmonton Oilers. I'm very curious to see what we get from Colten Ellis in this one. He had kind of been up and down, back and forth, but I always thought that was defendable for him. When you're trying to make the playoffs, it's not as defendable for the team, but for why he was up and down. First NHL games, right? That's part of it. Your first 8 games in the NHL, and you're not getting in a rhythm. You're not really playing night to night. You are not in the lineup for a month. Then you're in the lineup a bunch, and then you're not in the lineup. He's just not really been a part of a regular, normal goalie rotation. You're not getting as many practice reps when there's 3 goalies. So there are some built-in excuses as to why that's happened. In the 8 games, if I just go through them really quickly, I thought he played really well, of course, in this first game against Detroit, but we're going back 2 months now, really, to look at that one, almost 3 months. He played really well in the home game against Edmonton. That was in early November or mid-November, and he played pretty darn well against the Minnesota Wild, where the Sabres won in a shootout. That was at the end of November. Didn't play well against Utah, didn't play well against Detroit, didn't play well against Calgary, didn't play well against Philadelphia. His last start, well, his second to last start. No, it was the last start because, again, I got confused on what happened in Edmonton. He got hurt in Edmonton. So his last decision against the Flyers was a tough one. 35 shots. He allowed 5. Thought a couple of them were definitely his fault. But I'm still hopeful that he could be a player. To revisit where I stood on him at the beginning of the year, I like him as a prospect. I like his background leading up to the NHL more than I like Luukkonen's. And now Luukkonen's played a bunch of games in the NHL, so we have more evidence of what he is there. But in the minors, Ellis at every step of the way was a better goalie than Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. And draft status, he was only around different. Size could have been a big reason. He's 4 inches smaller than Luukkonen. But he was a better goalie at every level until the NHL. And we don't know about the NHL because we've only seen him play 8 games. And so far, his 8 games kind of look like what Luukkonen's 100 and whatever games look like. So I'm hopeful that we could get a good game from him. It's a little dangerous, though, to feel like, you have no idea what you're going to get. I guess, though, if I'm being honest, that is what Luukkonen is, right? You have no idea what you're going to get on a night-to-night basis. So what's the difference? I guess there's a case to be made there. We don't have many other lineup notes because the Sabres had a optional skate at Madison Square Garden on Thursday morning. So we don't have many other notes. I don't expect anything to be different, though, than last game's lineup. I think Zucker will still be with Tuch and Norris. I think the defense pairings are probably the same. There was nobody else that was impending to return in this game. So, yeah, there's nothing else really, I think, to go on that in terms of a lineup change. The odds for tonight's game, and I'll get you my bet of the night. The Sabres in this one are favored at the New York Rangers. They're getting some respect. Plus 105 for the Rangers on the money line, minus 126 for the Buffalo Sabres. Over-under is 5.5 goals, minus 140 on the over, plus 114 on the under. I went with Sabres puck line last game. Puck line is plus 1.5 goals. That did cash at plus 144. So we now stand at plus 8.9 units on the season. So we're starting to crawl our way back up to that double digits, which we were at one point. Still very much in the positive on the season for our bet of the night. And as I look at what they're offering today, I'm going to go between 2 bets here right now. It's a goal scorer prop, and it's just straight up money line. You know what? Let's go for a bigger one. Let's try to get up to double digits. I'm going to go to Josh Doan at plus 290. I think his number has really started to crawl down a little bit. He is still playing on the power play. Not that that really feels like it matters right now, right? Because the Sabres aren't scoring on the power play. So maybe that's not the best evidence to use. But he is still playing on that Tage line. And I think he's getting more and more opportunities playing there. He has scored 3 games in a row. So I am kind of trailing a hot streak, which is not always the best way to do it. But his odds haven't really reacted to the 3 goals in a row. So I'm going to predict that Doan keeps it rolling. 13 games on the year. Remember, by the way, the last game was an empty netter, so that only half counts. But that's a part of it too. Like, sometimes predicting who's on the ice for the empty netter, that can be worthwhile. That's a part of the value. And Doan is a very good player in his own end. So he's often going to be a guy that they utilize in those types of situations. So I like Doan for that. I like the way that line is playing. I've loved the way Tage has looked. And again, part of it is the odds. Like him being below Jason Zucker, below Josh Norris, Alex Tuch by a decent margin is a big reason why I would go to him. And I'm not going to go to the next level of goal scorers like Benson or Jack Quinn in this one, or Krebs. I'm going to stick with Doan. Plus 290. That would get us to double digits. All right. That'll do it today here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. Oh, one more thing before we get rolling. Very quick, what you should be rooting for on the out-of-town scoreboard. Last night, we had a pretty good night. Dallas beat the you-know-what out of the Washington Capitals. Sabres are above Washington in points percentage. The Mammoth beat the Senators, which was good. Only bad result was Montreal beat Calgary at home. Flames are doing a little bit of an East Coast trip here. So you're going to be rooting for them a lot and probably be disappointed. And that is going to continue tonight, maybe. Flames are at the Bruins. Go Calgary. Panthers, Canadiens. No Brad Marchand in that game. I say root for Florida, but really that one, maybe you'd think it doesn't matter as long as it doesn't go to overtime. Vancouver, Detroit. Hard rooting for Vancouver in that one. The Red Wings are vulnerable. I think they can catch the Detroit Red Wings overtime here. A West versus East game is big to root for there. Toronto and Philadelphia. I would say root for Toronto. Same thing there, though. Just don't have it go to OT. And then a couple more. Devils and Penguins. No OT. Fine there. Islanders and Predators, you want Nashville. Nashville is slight favorite in that game. Ottawa, Colorado, God bless the Senators. Godspeed. Good luck beating the Avalanche, who are angry from losing 2 in a row. And then you have one other West-East game. You have Vegas versus Columbus. You got a lot of games and a lot of West versus East, which makes it very easy to pick who you want to win. All right, tomorrow we'll talk to you after Sabres and Rangers. You got a reaction to our Artemi Panarin trade conversation? Be sure to get your thoughts in. Our Discord is the best place to do that. You want to sign up? Go to lockedonsabres.supercast.com. Then you can get a part of our Everydayers Club. Talk to you tomorrow on the Locked On Sabres podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network.